Here's what's making news now around Indiana. Anxiously awaiting getting back to work. That's the business vibe in northern Indiana, according to South Bend Regional Chamber CEO Jeff Ray, who says the region continues to feel the economic impact of the pandemic in several ways. Take the University of Notre Dame, the second biggest tourist attraction in the state of Indiana. With no graduation, hotels, restaurants, and other small businesses have missed out on a big payday. Each Notre Dame football weekend represents about a $19 million economic impact, and there's uncertainty about whether there will be a season. But Ray also says he's still getting economic development calls from companies perhaps looking for a new normal post-pandemic.
People have located in major metro areas before. Now we're taking a closer look at places like South Bend and wondering if an opportunity like South Bend might be better for them. Not quite the high concentration of people. Taxes are a little bit lower, a little bit affordable. You get the Indiana business climate, one of the tops in the country. All those are advantages that we're trying to sell.
Meantime, in southeast Indiana, a region that was on a roll has slowed a bit because of the pandemic. Pre-pandemic, the Ohio River Bridges Project and the massive River Ridge Commerce Center were fueling economic development and momentum in the region. Last year, Louisville-based PharmaCord announced plans to invest $52 million and add 850 jobs at River Ridge, which is now home to more than 50 companies, including Amazon, GE Appliances, and Tenneco. One Southern Indiana CEO, Wendy Dantchesser, tells me calls are still coming in despite the crisis.
We've had a couple of projects put on hold, but certainly not the majority. And those that are interested in moving forward are looking more at the existing buildings, which tells us that they're in a they're going to be interested in the sense of urgency and moving forward quickly when they do decide to pull the trigger. We may also be able to look at providing more opportunities for companies virtually. So how do you get them to look at the projects and the sites on a virtual way, since they may or may not be able to get here for travel restrictions?
My sources in southeast Indiana tell me to expect a couple of substantial economic development projects that have been in the works for some time to be announced perhaps soon, so stay tuned. Well, this time of year, Westfield is usually bustling with activity in town and at Grand Park, one of the largest youth sports complexes in the entire country. But the COVID-19 pandemic has forced athletes to stay home and the fields and courts to go silent. With more on the economic impact the pandemic is having, I'm pleased to be joined now by Westfield Mayor Andy Cook. And Mayor, as always, welcome back to the show.
Hey, always a pleasure, Gary. Thank you.
Okay, we'll get right to it. I want to talk about what's happening process-wise there. But how about the impact? Because I know you have indicated about $1 million impact through May 10. There are others out there, this doesn't come from the city, who've suggested through June 10 it could be an $85 million impact on the community. How substantial is it to the restaurants and hotels and others who benefit from Grand Park?
It has a huge impact, just like this whole COVID situation. But yeah, the 85 million or more, it's not just Westfield. I mean, our economic impact is really throughout all of central Indiana. So it is very widespread, and we're very interested in getting back open gradually within all of the guidelines the governor has presented us, and we are working through those issues right now.
Okay, Grand Park has really helped to transform Westfield without question. I know you're anxious to get things open, as you say, in a phased-in approach. You have questions right now that you and other mayors, I think, around the state want to get clarified.
Yes, you know, as we look at these sports facilities, whether it is a massive business, such as ours, being the largest facility of youth sports travel in the country, or whether it's a small set of diamonds in rural Indiana. We have two issues we really need to deal with, and that is the different dates that the governor has given us doesn't have good definition as to how much space those people can occupy, such as the next date, we can have 100 people per facility, properly spaced, etc. But does that 100 people, does that count on just 2 acres, or does that count, in Westfield's case, Grand Park, over 400 acres?
Right.
So you can see there's a huge difference there. The other area we need to look at, and speaking with my mayors, as I did all across at least central Indiana this morning, many of their rec fields and some of their revenue-producing tournament fields are located on school property, which under the current guidelines is defined as they are not open till June 30th.
Yep.
So we formed really a statewide group that William Knox, our director at Grand Park, has put together, bringing together a lot of our sports-oriented people all across the state.
Yep.
And we're asking for some clarification.
Okay.
We're not asking for changes in dates, whatever.
Mayor Andy Cook from Westfield, big reopening strategy I know you have there. We'll be following the story. Appreciate you taking the time to join us this week.
My pleasure.